Ghost.
But what is Ghost to you? It's a good.
Ghost
This
is
is a
a
good.
gangster.
It's a good conversation. What is Ghost to you?
Ghost.
I loved it. I love playing him. I miss most the opportunity to take the story to where I thought it could be taken in terms of the ending, giving the fans what I thought they deserved, which was the right and more appropriate ending.
So that Power Origins. I mean, it's gonna be a minute for them to even give us a trailer or even more details about who else is gonna be in the show besides, like, Kanan, Tommy, Breeze, Ghost, right? We already got our main four, right? But we're still missing like more other people. I mean, obviously we're gonna probably get like Angela, and that's probably it. But Tasha and everybody else is gonna be later. I would assume probably like much later in the story. Now, I guess the big question is, will Omari Hardwick actually voice Ghost for the story of like James St. Patrick's Ghost, right? Will he actually like come back to voice the character? Because here's the thing. Sure, you can have like, Joseph Secor, Tommy Egan, right? You can have him voice the character of Tommy Egan and have him talk about like the shared experiences. But see, I think that it would only be fair if they was to separate it and they would have it in a way where it's like you're talking about like two people, like two individuals, where you have Tommy's side and he's explaining about, the stuff that he was dealing with and growing up with, and then at the same time you also have like James St. Patrick and the stuff that he was going through and dealing with at the time. So I wouldn't be opposed to the idea if they would have like bring them back and they both would like talk, like interact with each other a bit, and they share stories about, okay, like these characters and what they, was experiencing in their life. So obviously everybody's more curious about like, the stuff that happened with Ghost, and he explains more about, Ghost and his dad, and maybe who killed his father, right? What happened to his mother, right? Any other potential siblings that could be out there lingering, right? More on that bit of like Power Origins, and I hope that if they was to come to some sort of form of agreement, that you would have like maybe Omari Hardwick returning and he can play as that character again as Ghost, but just a younger form, and him just explaining, well, not play as a character, but just explaining about the character. And I think that it would be cool if they was to do this, so that way it would be like a three-way interaction. So you would still have Kanan. I wouldn't mind it, like if Kanan is still like voicing, well, 50 Cent is voicing Kanan and he's voicing like, the stuff that Kanan is, going through and still dealing with, but then they switch it around and then it goes back to, Ghost and Tommy saying they story about what's going on. Oh, come on. See, they messing me up. See, it sounds good on paper, but again, we know that money situation and the stuff that's been going on, I just wish they was to do that, right? I wish they would do that, and I think it would be cool because don't get me wrong. Like I said, everybody loved Tommy. Everybody loved Joseph Secor, but I think it would be sort of lame if you having him do all the voicing. I think it would be a little bit lame because, yeah, it would be cool if he's doing his part, or if they was to do like a story, they would tell like two different type of perspectives on how they saw things during that time. Because remember how in Power season 6, I think it was, yeah, when it was in season 6, and they was going through everybody's perspective on that day, I think when Ghost died, or was leading up to like Ghost's death, and everybody had like their own perspective on how they saw things, which I thought was dope, where you had Tommy's side of things where he thought Ghost tried to kill him or tried to send assassins after him, and then he saw things differently. Dre had a perspective on how he was going to get to Ghost. Like, I like what they did there, and I kind of hope they do that in Power Origins, and they tell like a two-side perspective of how they may have saw certain events that day. Like, if, I don't know, like let's just say Ghost was going after somebody, right? And he went to go kill somebody, and then Tommy saw in a different way of why Ghost probably went after the person that, Ghost was trying to kill that day, or vice versa. If Tommy was going after somebody and Tommy had his perspective on how he saw things, but then Ghost saw it in a different way, like stuff like that, I think would be really cool to tell in the story. See, I kind of wanted them See, I was gonna say like in Raising Kanan, I would have preferred it if they would have did it that way too, of having like a perspective on Rock's side and Kanan's side. I mean, I think they should have done that too, where it should have been how Rock saw things and then also how Kanan saw things. I mean, we've seen it in the show of like how, you know, certain things kind of like led up, but I would have wanted it that way too, where they would have broke down the perspectives of what Rock was thinking about, what maybe Lulu or maybe Marvin was thinking about, like everybody's perspectives on certain events. I would have preferred it if they would have done it that way, but you know, we got what we got in Raising Kanan, and obviously we're going to get the last bit of it next year, but hopefully in Power Origins they do the same thing and they give us like these different narratives, maybe different perspectives on how each of these characters saw things, because we know that eventually when we get to the whole Ghost killing Breeze bit, I know they might not do it, but I would love if they was to have like a perspective on that too, of what did Breeze was thinking about that day, what was he, you know, insinuating, and then what was going through Ghost's mind. I mean, we already sort of knew what was going on in Ghost's mind because of the whole him wanting to do the nightclub and following his dad's legacy, and obviously separating away from like Kanan and Breeze, because that wasn't really the goal, that wasn't really the end goal. It was the starting goal, but it wasn't really the end goal at all. It was really like the whole nightclub business. But I just wish that they would probably maybe do more of that, and obviously have like maybe Omari Hardwick return as James St. Patrick's Ghost. Like, I would prefer it if they would do that, so that way we get to hear him talk again, and him throwing in his little witty lines and his way, right, and him just saying certain things, and it's like yeah, and then Tommy jumps in there, and then he starts talking, and he's like, yeah, you know, this is what happened. This is come on, man, they messing me up, because I think this shit would be freaking good. It would be really, really good, but man, I don't know, because this the whole fucking money situation. But keep in mind, we all know that Omari Hardwick did say that he did want her to come back, because he felt like there was so much to the character of Ghost that nobody really knows much about the guy besides the certain things that was told about him and the stuff that we got to see in Power, but not that much is really known about the guy. Like, he's a complete ghost, like. So I would prefer if they was to bring him back so that way he can tell that story. But, you know, like I said, I understand there's probably some tension. People ain't getting paid and shit. So it's like, come on, man, what's going on? Give this man his money. Why y'all being cheap? Come on, pay him. Like pay him his money. Like, what's wrong with you people? Because if they was to pay him, give him his money. See, here's the thing. If they would have done it in good faith, right? Even though that shit ain't happening, but if they would have done this shit in good faith, let's just say Tommy's pinned down in Chicago, he need help, and then fucking Ghost shows up and he helps him out, and it's like a big. That would be good faith. I understand that shit ain't happening, because that's gonna be Tariq to save Tommy. But like I understand, but if they would have done it that way, it's like, oh shit, Ghost is back, like that, and then he saves Tommy. Like, how the fuck you found me out, shit like that. And then that's when it would set us up and be like, oh shit, because he's alive, he's back. What he gonna do now? Shit like that. And then it would give us more hope and more praise to go, well, we definitely know this guy's gonna return in Power Origins. But I know that shit ain't happening. I keep saying it because I understand everybody kind of still hoping and wishing that he might. But I think that role is gonna be safe for Tariq. Obviously that shit gonna be safe for Tariq. Where Tariq's gonna go to Chicago, he's gonna save Tommy, and then they're gonna start up Power Legacies, and then that shit gonna happen. But yeah, but like I said, if they figure a way, if I hope they would to figure a way out of bringing Omari Hardwick back, it would be great. It would obviously be great, but I highly doubt it. And I'm thinking what's gonna probably happen is gonna be Tommy that's going to be leading the story. He's going to be explaining the story about like Ghost and Tommy, and about like what really happened. But it's like, again, I don't mind him explaining like bits and pieces of what they did together and what he did by himself. But it's going to suck if he's doing all the narrating. That's going to suck. Now, if they don't do any narrating at all, then that's fine, but then it still would sort of be kind of bad, because if we got narration from Kanan, why can't we get narration from Tommy or Ghost or both? So I don't know. We don't know exactly what they're gonna do for Power Origins. We don't know if there will be any narrating or not, but I want it to be some narrating, and I do want different perspectives on how the character saw certain events at certain times. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But we're gonna see, because as we know, bullshit do be happening. But as always, let me know in the comment section down below, like, what do you guys think? Right? Do y'all still holding out that hope that the man might return in some sort of form of capacity, or do y'all believe that that shit is fucking dead? That shit is fucking dead. It's dry. It's drier than a woman's you know where. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Hope y'all have a good Friday, and I'll catch you all in the next one.